Silver just did something it has never done in human history. On January 23rd, 2026, silver smashed through the $100 per ounce barrier for the very first time. Think about that for a moment. In over 5,000 years of silver being used as money, as currency, as a store of wealth, we have never seen silver trade at $100 per ounce until right now. This is not just another price milestone. This is a seismic shift in the precious metals market that has analysts, investors, and industry experts absolutely stunned. And here's what nobody is telling you. This might only be the beginning of silver's explosive run. Smash the like button, drop a comment with your silver price prediction, and subscribe for more silver content, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see the silver market forever. The moment silver crossed $100, trading floors erupted. Spot silver jumped 4.5% in a single session, pushing past the psychological barrier that experts have been predicting for years. But what makes this different from every other silver rally in history is the perfect storm of factors driving prices higher. We're not talking about speculation or hype. We're talking about fundamental forces that are reshaping the entire commodity landscape, and silver is at the absolute center of this transformation. Let's put this in perspective. Just 1 year ago, silver was trading around $30 per ounce. That means silver has surged over 200% in 12 months. Read that again, 200%. In the same time frame, the S&P 500 is up what, maybe 20%? Real estate, barely moving. Bitcoin had a solid run, but silver has outperformed nearly every major asset class by an astronomical margin. This isn't just a good investment. This is generational wealth being created right before our eyes. Now, here's where it gets absolutely wild. Industry insiders like Keith Neumeyer, the CEO of First Majestic Silver, have been calling for triple-digit silver for years. Back when silver was $17 per ounce in 2017, Neumeyer went on record saying silver would hit $130. People laughed at him. They called him crazy. They said it was impossible. Well, who's laughing now? Silver just crossed 100 and Neumeyer is doubling down, stating that his triple-digit prediction is now materializing exactly as he forecasted. But he's not alone anymore. Citigroup analysts are now projecting silver will maintain levels around $100 per ounce throughout the first quarter of 2026. Bank of America, they're even more bullish. Michael Widmer, head of metals research at Bank of America, just released a forecast that will blow your mind. He's predicting silver could reach between $135 and $309 per ounce in 2026. Yes, you heard that correctly, $309. That's another 300% gain from current levels. And here's the kicker. These aren't fringe analysts posting wild predictions on social media. These are major Wall Street institutions with billions of dollars on the line revising their models because the fundamentals are that strong. So what's actually driving this historic surge? Let me break down the 3 critical factors that are creating this perfect storm, and trust me, once you understand these forces, you'll realize why $100 might just be the floor, not the ceiling. First, we have industrial demand absolutely exploding. Silver isn't just a precious metal anymore. It's become a critical industrial commodity that modern technology cannot function without. Solar panels need silver. Electric vehicles need silver. 5G infrastructure needs silver. Artificial intelligence data centers need silver. Every single major technological trend of the next decade requires massive amounts of silver. And here's the problem. There isn't enough to go around. Solar power alone consumed over 25% of annual global silver supply in 2024. And that number jumped again in 2025. The solar industry is projected to nearly double its silver demand between 2020 and 2030. We're talking about hundreds of millions of ounces of new demand hitting the market every single year. Electric vehicles use between 25 and 50 grams of silver per vehicle, compared to 15 to 28 grams in conventional cars. As EV adoption accelerates globally, that's millions of additional ounces being pulled from available supply annually. This demand is sticky, it's irreversible. You can't build a solar panel without silver. You can't manufacture an EV without silver. This isn't speculative demand that disappears when prices rise. This is structural, permanent demand that will only increase as the world transitions to renewable energy and advanced technology. Smash that like button if you're starting to see why silver is absolutely exploding right now. Drop a comment telling me which industrial use case you think will drive the most demand, and make sure you're subscribed because we're just getting started on this analysis. Second, supply constraints are reaching critical levels. Here's a fact that should terrify anyone betting against silver. The global silver market has been in a structural deficit for 5 consecutive years. That means demand exceeds mine supply by approximately 160 to 200 million ounces every single year. Let me repeat that. For 5 straight years, the world has consumed more silver than mines have produced. So where's that extra silver coming from? It's coming from existing stockpiles, from vaults, from reserves that are being systematically drained. And those reserves are running dangerously low. Shanghai silver stocks hit a decade low. London vaults have been drawn down as physical metal flows to Asia, where demand is strongest. COMEX futures open interest fell more than 22% as short sellers scrambled desperately to source physical metal to deliver against contracts. And then there's the lease rate situation. In October 2025, London silver lease rates spiked above 30%. Think about what that means. Normal lease rates for silver are below 1%. When rates spike to 30%, that's not a market functioning normally. That's panic. That's players in the physical market willing to pay exorbitant rates to secure metal because they cannot find it anywhere else. Global mine output peaked back in 2016 at 900 million ounces and has fallen to 835 million ounces in 2025. Ore grades are declining. Environmental restrictions are tightening. New primary silver mines take 7 to 10 years to develop from discovery to production. There is no quick fix coming. The supply deficit will persist and potentially worsen for years to come. But here's the third factor that might be the most explosive of all. China just dropped a bombshell that has completely reshaped the global silver market. On January 1st, 2026, China introduced strategic export controls on silver. They now require state-approved licensing for large-scale exporters, effectively restricting 60 to 70% of global supply to domestic use only. Hundreds of smaller exporters who supplied global industrial users are now completely blocked from exporting. This isn't just a policy change. This is China positioning silver as a strategic material similar to rare earth elements and weaponizing control over global supply chains. Major companies like Tesla immediately signaled concern because a 50% reduction in Chinese exports could create deficits exceeding 5,000 metric tons annually. The result, a dramatic bifurcation between paper and physical silver markets. On January 2nd, the COMEX March 2026 futures contract closed at $72.27. Meanwhile, physical silver coins in Dubai traded at $99.93. That's a 38% premium for physical metal, highlighting just how severe the shortage has become in real-world markets. Comment below if you think China's export restrictions are the biggest catalyst for silver's price explosion, and subscribe if you want to stay ahead of these market-moving developments. Now, here's what's absolutely fascinating about this $100 breakthrough. This is just a psychological barrier. The real question is, where does silver go from here? Goldman Sachs just raised its gold target to $5,400 per ounce, citing structural demand shifts and diversification away from traditional reserves. Gold hit $4,969 per ounce, approaching its own historic milestone of $5,000. Platinum shattered records at $2,749 per ounce. Precious metals across the board are experiencing unprecedented demand as investors globally diversify away from traditional assets. TCW Group CEO Katie Koch described it as quiet quitting of US assets, with traders seeking alternatives amid geopolitical uncertainty, tariff tensions, and concerns about fiscal policy. The macro backdrop couldn't be more bullish for precious metals. The Federal Reserve is expected to implement multiple rate cuts through 2026 as economic indicators soften. Lower real interest rates historically favor non-yielding assets like silver. A softer dollar increases global affordability of silver denominated in other currencies. Rising fiscal deficits and government spending add long-term inflation pressure. Silver's unique dual identity as both a monetary metal and industrial commodity positions it perfectly to benefit from this environment. Exchange-traded fund inflows turned positive after nearly 2 years of outflows. Retail investors re-entered aggressively once silver broke $30, then again at $50, and now we're seeing another wave of capital flooding in above 100. Russia's ongoing multi-year plan to accumulate $535 million in silver remains the first major central bank to openly add silver to reserves in the modern era, potentially signaling a broader shift in how sovereign entities view silver's role in reserve portfolios. So what does all this mean for you? If you've been watching silver from the sidelines, you just witnessed history. The question now is whether $100 is the beginning or the end of this rally. Based on supply deficits that will take years to resolve, industrial demand that will only accelerate, geopolitical tensions reshaping global supply chains, and major financial institutions projecting prices potentially 3 times higher than current levels, the evidence suggests we're still in the early stages of this bull market. Silver breaking $100 per ounce isn't just a milestone. It's a signal that the precious metals market is undergoing a fundamental revaluation. Whether you're watching as an observer or positioning yourself in this historic move, one thing is certain. The silver market will never be the same after January 23rd, 2026. This is the moment everything changed. Make sure you smash that like button, comment your thoughts on where silver goes next, and subscribe for more coverage as this incredible story continues to unfold.